Hello, all your wankers. Today we are special. We are very special, and we will let you know pretty soon, Guys, go ahead. Say hello to the people.
Are you kidding me?
To the people you have to say hello.
What's up, Vankah?
Hello, Vankahs. We gave Guenther the task of doing a big old intro, and he right now he's buckling.
He flubbed the start.
No, I didn't flop. I wanted that you guys have a voice as well. So
yeah.
So now we go to our special
It's important that
guest.
you let us have a voice, Guenther.
That's what all great managers do, is they delegate.
They
They delegate.
So I'm going now and come back later. Okay. All right. We have got our first guest on the show, and it's a very special guest, a very unique one, and we all know who it is, Susie Wolff. Hello, Susie, and thanks for joining us. I don't know how long it took you to say yes to meet with these two guys, because with me you don't have a problem, but I would be worried about these two guys. Everything what goes wrong is blamed on them, Susie, just that you know, that's off the start.
Well, Guenther, I was waiting for my big special intro, and right now I'm doubting whether I made the right choice doing this podcast.
So, please don't leave.
He called you special and unique, Susie.
Yeah,
that's right.
What more you want?
True.
The supreme. What else should we call you? Supreme
No.
Susie?
Honestly, I'll focus on the positives. That's okay. That's okay.
That's
It's
right.
enough of.
We're watching the different management styles at play here. I'm seeing the differences between how you both run your kind of lives and organizations, and we're thrilled to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us on Vankah Hours.
You know what? You know what's better than anything we could have done? We said she needs no introduction. There you go.
That's true.
Whoa.
Except all your listeners are then like, well, who's Susie Wolff? And then you're like, oh yeah, we did
true.
need an intro.
Oh no,
Susie, focus on the positives. Everybody knows you. Focus on the positives.
Susie. Everyone knows who you are, and we're thrilled to have you on.
I think we need to tell the people what Susie actually does. Susie was a CEO, or is a CEO, was a team principal in a Formula E team. She did a hell of a lot of stuff. But I think we need to get Susie a little bit more space here. It's not about us, it's about Susie. So Susie, I would like to ask you, where did you start in motorsport? How this came along, because we all try to get more women into motorsport. And you are a perfect example to tell us how you did it. There's so many good jobs out there. Why did you end up between all these mad people?
All these mad people. I think I joined that class of mad people. No, you could say it was in my blood, because my mum met my dad when she bought her first motorbike from his shop on the west coast of Scotland, and they still own that same motorbike shop some 40 years later. So at the age of 2, I had my first little 3-wheeler. At the age of 5, I had a little Pee-wee 50, then a Pee-wee 80. But then my dad kind of decided that he felt 4 wheels would be more safe for his daughter than 2 wheels. And he bought me a little go-kart for my 8th birthday. And I was one of those competitive little girls. I loved speed, I loved the adrenaline, and I just found something I loved doing. I had an older brother. I have an older brother. He's only 18 months older than me. And one thing I'll always be very thankful for is the fact that my parents never differentiated between son and daughter. If he went to go on his motorbike, I would go on my motorbike. It was never expected that I would do something different.
Who was faster? Who was faster, Susie?
Well, let's just say I went on to become a professional racing driver, but my brother was also very fast. Okay. But I would say I was more disciplined and much more competitive. So I would spend a lot more time getting myself ready, getting myself prepared. And that was the start of my journey. But I never set out to be a girl in a man's world. I never set out to show what a woman was capable of. I love racing, whether I'm on a kart track with my son or whether I'm at a Formula One race or a Formula One Academy race. That's my sport. And I think now in my role at F1 Academy, it's about breaking down this preconception that motorsport is just for boys, or that if you're a woman that loves cars or motorsport, you must be a tomboy. Because I hope we can smash down all those preconceptions, because I think in this day and age, on the back of the huge success of the sport globally, there's so many female fans now, and they love this sport because it's a great sport and it doesn't need to be just for men anymore.
I absolutely agree to that one. And I think, but then, from going where you were at the time, go-karting, your father supporting you, you made it in to be a professional driver. You forgot to tell us about that. How did that happen? Because that's the difficult part as well, but just that people understand that it is possible, because I'm with you. If you've got girls starting young, we need to make sure that they make the next steps as well. So I think that's interesting to hear as well from your perspective, how that happened and how did you make it happen, because it cannot, it's not easy for anybody, I don't distinguish here between male and female. I think it's difficult for everybody. Everybody says, yeah, it is easier for boys. I don't think it's easy. It's difficult for anyone, because I think there's as much driving talent in female than in male. It's just like a lot of more male try to do it, while a lot of females give up before they should give up. And I think to explain that how you got it done, I think it would be and I like to know as well, because you never told me that story, I never asked you, maybe.
I don't think you had time to ask me, Guenther. Now you have time to ask me.
That's right.
No, I think what you've said, Guenther, is completely right. It comes down to the fact that there's so few women participating. I mean, it's never gone above 5% participation. So the talent pool of females is just too small for one to make it to the very pinnacle of the sport. And I completely agree with you, Guenther. It's tough no matter what your gender is, because there's only 20 spots on a Formula One grid. I think where the difficulty comes is that there are a real lack of role models for young girls. So if you have that passion, sometimes in life you've got to see it to believe it. And because there isn't women in camera-facing positions in Formula One, even for that next generation that does have this big love for the sport, they don't see the examples of what they could become or what is possible. In my journey, I mean, I started at a young age. My highly competitive nature meant I loved the competition. And let's not forget, in any sport, there's only one winner. You need to get used to coping with not winning, and that comes down to how much tenacity you have and how much you're willing to pick yourself back up and keep putting yourself out there and keep trying to improve. But in racing, we wear a helmet, so you don't actually see the gender of the driver. And what I realised very early on, performance matters. Everyone can have an opinion, and everyone will always have an opinion. You'll have those that are for you, those that are against you, but the timesheets never lie. So if you can actually go out on track and perform, it doesn't matter if you're a girl or a boy, it doesn't matter what the media says, because ultimately the performance counts. And for me, I focused a lot on performance because I knew that's what was going to be the key to getting further in the sport. But it was still very much a hobby until at the age of 13, I was taken to watch a Formula 3 race at Donington Park. There was a young British driver called Jenson Button who won on that day. Obviously went on to become a Formula 1 world champion. But that's when everything changed for me, because I suddenly realised, okay, this sport that I love, my hobby, I could actually make a career out of it. I could become a professional racing driver and I could make it to Formula 1. And that's when the dream was born in my head, okay, I'm going to try and make it to Formula 1. And like you said, Guenther, it's very tough. I think to get to the top of any sport is very tough. But racing has that financial barrier that makes it even more challenging, because you need partners and sponsors on board to race. And that, of course, made it extra challenging. And that's why as a driver in this day and age, you need to be just as good out of the car as you are in the car, because it's the complete package that counts.
You said there is no role model. You're a role model. You were the last. I didn't know these stats. I got them, I got prepared for this, I was scared of you, Susie, So you were the last female in an F1 car. Is that correct, huh?
It could be, Guenther, but I look forward, not backwards. I've never looked at the history
Susie,
books.
Susie, come on. You know that you were the last one. So you are the role model of... You're the role model
I
now
was
for all the females.
the last that took part on an F1 weekend. I did the FP1.
Exactly, F1 weekend, that's what I meant, in public. In public.
But more important than that stat is the fact that in the last FP1 session I took part in, Guenther, and this will mean something to you. At Hockenheim. I didn't crash.
No, that was Kimi Antonelli. That was Kimi Antonelli.
Oh, okay, sorry, that's the other Wolff,
That was another person in the Wolff family.
Yeah, that was another family member,
No, I ended up around Hockenheim, only 2/10 off Felipe Massa in the Williams. Yeah. And that was more important for me, not just taking part, but actually being competitive.
I think everything that you're working on now and what F1 Academy seems to be all about is kind of like extending that, and especially with the TV show that's going to be coming out on Netflix. Is that correct? With
yes.
And that, what are your hopes for, as we dive into what you're doing now with F1 Academy, both what F1 Academy is doing, what that show is doing, and what you're hoping, to grow it into?
Well, I feel in a very privileged position to be leading F1 Academy because I've been on the journey that these young drivers have been on. I know what their struggles are. I know how tough it is, and that's why I can relate to them so well. And there's so many people in this sport who try to tell me, well, it's this. And I feel like saying, first of all, have you ever driven a car? No. Secondly, are you a woman? No. So don't tell me that's how it is, because you don't actually know. You'll never have the perspective of being a woman in this sport. But I think, I don't want them to make the same mistakes I did. I want them to learn from what I went through, the bits I did well, the bits I did wrong, they should avoid. But I really feel, had there been F1 Academy when I was racing, it would have been such a brilliant opportunity. And I'm so thankful that that opportunity now exists for the next generation, because I believe if we get it right with F1 Academy and build a very strong foundation, we can have huge impact in the sport long term. And it's not going to happen overnight that we suddenly find a female in the Formula One grid. But I do believe over time we'll get more participation at karting level, and we'll get more young girls and women coming through. And we're not just focused on the on-track. It's not just about the next female Formula One driver. It's opening up all the different areas of the sport, because Guenther, like there's so many talented women in Formula One already. They're not always visible, they're not always seen, but when you're in this sport, you recognise how many talented women there are. And I think it's really important that we show to the outside world what the possibilities are in the sport. And that's where our own Netflix show, which is being produced by Hello Sunshine, is so important, just to break down this preconception that it's such a male-dominated industry, because it is changing. And I think credit to the sport, because F1 Academy exists because the sport wanted to create opportunity. I have all 10 teams on board, and Guenther signed off when he was still in his role at Haas, but they got on board. So it's not a box ticking exercise. It's not something that, we're just there to be a poster for what's, possible in terms of diversity. It's real and it's meaningful, and I think it will have positive impact.
What is it? The drive or the kick you get out of it? You were a race car driver, you get a lot of kicks out of that, So it's like, why do I really want to work, do this? Because this is grinding, because you're starting something completely new, Susie. And I know what that means, It's not easy to convince people to be on board.
I'm thankful that you recognise what a commitment it is, because you're right in that word grind. There are some days, Guenther, where I think, why am I doing this? Because it does
You know what you think, why the fuck I'm doing this, But anyway.
I don't swear. I'm too elegant to swear like you do, Guenther.
I'm elegant as well. Yeah.
No, but there are days where I think, God, this is really tough. But then I also think, well, in life, it's all about giving back as well. And if my experiences, and I'm in a very grateful place in my life where I have so much to be thankful for, and it's about giving back. I believe it's all about energy, and I feel if I don't take on this challenge, and if I don't set up F1 Academy in the right way, who will? Because I've been there and done it. I know what the challenges are, and I feel that it's the right thing to do. And I get huge enjoyment when I see young women being given a chance in life and grabbing the opportunity, and it can, like Guenther, it can be life-changing sometimes. And I had 2 opportunities coming my way, which changed my life completely, and I'm a big believer in sometimes just giving people a chance. And if I can help create those chances that can help the next generation, I see that as something which there's no question that I have to do.
So you raced at a high level, and you ran a team, a Formula E team at a high level. How do you then move to a management capacity that's not strictly competitive? How do you bring that competitive edge? And you're like, what? And it's like hard. Is it harder for you to watch a race because you're like, I don't have a vested interest in who wins? Like, how does that competitive killer move into like a management without sort of a specific interest in one team? How does that work?
That's such a good question, because when I was running my Formula E team and when I was a driver, I mean, your whole self-worth is caught up in the race result. And when you're running a team, I mean, the buck stops with you. You can have all the excuses in the world, but in the end, it's up to you to make the team perform. You pick the drivers, you build the team. So when the missed performance is there, you're to blame, and that's a huge pressure. And of course, it brings big highs after a great weekend, and we nearly won a world championship in Formula E on a fraction of the budget of a big OEM. So there were big highlights, but there were also very, very tough moments where the performance wasn't there. There was huge pressure to try and turn it around. Whereas now, being on let's say, the other side, I watch a race and I don't mind who wins, because all that matters for me is that as a collective, that we're gaining momentum, that we're on a very positive trajectory. But Guenther, I can highly recommend it. Watching a race without worrying where your cars or where your drivers are, it was definitely an eye-opener for me, and it's taken a lot of stress out of that side.
I mean, I had a very similar, and people said, oh, you will miss it. You maybe miss it. The only moment I miss it, maybe when they go out for qualifying, that first kick, the car is out there. But then it goes away, because it's like, okay, I can now watch, relax, because I'm going to win anyway. Because on Sunday night, when I go home, I've won. My job is finished here. Obviously I'm not running a race series like you do, but the competitive stuff, it's gone. You get that moment when it is like, oh, shit, what would I do there? But otherwise, it's just like, but I didn't struggle to get away from it, Susie. I don't know if you did, because I was pretty happy what I did. I've no regrets, and I think it's very similar to you. You went away, you did what you did, you were happy with it, and then you move on. Some people, they cannot let loose. I'm almost like, the biggest feeling for me is on a Sunday after the race, it's over. I mean, I don't have to worry on Monday morning, what went wrong, what went right, what do I need to change. It's like, okay, wait until the next race comes, So I think it must be similar to you in the moment. Obviously, you are running a race series. I don't in the moment.
Yeah, but that high peak of adrenaline that is purely linked to race performance, that's gone, and that's not something I'm striving to get back. It's much more of the collective. And on a Sunday evening, if the whole race weekend has run well, and that we've had positive discussions away from track, we've made impact, that's a positive weekend for me. It's not just linked anymore to the race result, which is nice.
Does Toto ever get jealous that you've now, you've talked, it's actually kind of nice that I don't have to like lose my mind over race weekend? Does he ever look over and he's like, do you ever say like, this could be you too? If this is available to you. You could leave a race weekend and say, wow, what a great race that was. And
look
this
at
person
me, look
won.
at Guenther. Just
look at me.
Nice...
Guenther. It's nice. Jump in. The water's warm.
No, we can sometimes meet, like in Zandvoort. He obviously didn't have a great day, and he said, today was really not a good day for me. How was your day? It's like, I actually had a really, really good day, and it was overall a great weekend. And he's like,
do you feel bad saying that? Do you feel
no, I don't feel bad at all. And he's like, well, I'm really happy for you, but I'm really not very happy.
That's not very nice,
I would feel tempted to say, no, my day was terrible too, as you're like just enjoying a latte or wherever you are.
Yeah.
Speaking of regrets, I guess switching gears just for a quick second, I wanted to ask, you said you had regrets in your careers, and you're trying to use the F1 Academy to shape young drivers to correct the mistakes or learn the lessons that you learned. For all the young women and young drivers out there that are not in the F1 Academy, that are not directly under your tutelage, what are the biggest lessons that you learned?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, and obviously it comes with age and with confidence, and I think it's something, Guenther, that you will be a testament to. You need to be yourself. You need to be authentic. And as a young woman in the sport, I was very unsure, should I be feminine, or maybe people don't take me seriously. But then I'm out there representing a big automotive brand, and I'm representing partners, so I need to, in a way, be good out of the car. And it was a very fine balance of knowing how far I could push it. But in the end now, I am who I am. I don't try to be something. I don't try to sit on a table of team principals and pretend to be something I'm not. I'm simply who I am, and that definitely comes with age and confidence, and that's something I try to tell the next generation. If you want to come in, wearing makeup and feeling powerful in your own way, you do that, and you don't care what anyone says about that, because all that matters really is that you're arriving and performing, and off track, just be who you are, and don't be scared to be heard and to have your voice heard, especially in those moments at the beginning of your career where everything is so unsure and there's sometimes very different opportunities that come your way. Stay true to who you are, and I think the biggest lesson that also I pass on is to make sure that you have that tenacity, but also that thick skin, because everyone has an opinion and you're never going to keep everybody happy. But simply stay on your road, always try to go to bed at night knowing, okay, I've done the right thing today, or I've given it my all, because sometimes you can give it your all and it's just sometimes not enough, but that's all you can do. You can only ever be the best version of yourself in whatever you choose to do in life. And sometimes that will be enough, other times it won't be enough, but as long as you put it all out there and gave it your all, you have to be okay with what the outcome is.
I fully agree with that one, Susan. You said it very well, because I always feel like when, we all like to be loved from people, when you get positive, but every love you get a hate as well. Maybe not one-to-one, I would say, but that is what life is. You cannot expect that everybody loves you. And I always try to tell that to people. If you are out there, you want to be seen, be prepared that you will have people which don't agree with you, but who cares? If they don't want to agree, but still be yourself, because otherwise you just, you will not get out of it. That will never go away. So I think that is very good that you tell them. And I never thought about with female, it's be who you are, not try to be somebody who you are not, it's like, that is very important. It's important for all of us. Yeah. So no, it's very good set.
Vankahs, as you know, we have teamed up with BetMGM this season, and we are using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks. And if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code DADDY, and you will get up to $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here is how it works. You download the BetMGM app, and you sign up using the bonus code DADDY, because we're fun. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure that you use the bonus code DADDY when you sign up. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code DADDY and get your first $1,500 first bet offer today. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and over. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY for New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP for Arizona. 1-800-327-5050 for Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF for Indiana. 1-800-981-0023 for Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code DADDY and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. Now back to the show. Were there people that you specifically, like, when you think of that type of mentorship, you talk about the importance of mentorship in this game, of people that kind of were in your corner who maybe like gave you courage to do that, or were an example, even if you didn't know them personally, like people that kind of are beacons of that type of like mentality in this world?
Well, I've been very lucky to meet so many successful people, and they're not people that are well known. I'm not a big, believer in it has to be a celebrity for you to have that person as a role model. I think there are heroes that you meet in your everyday life, and whatever they do, they are either really good at what they do, or you can always learn something from them. And being in a competitive environment like motorsport, which is very performance driven, you meet outstanding people on a daily basis, and I'm always learning, and I love being pushed out of my comfort zone. I love learning new things and meeting outstanding people. And it's not just women, also men that I can learn from. And especially, I think, in a situation where I'm incredibly lucky that Toto was in a situation where he was running a team very successfully. I obviously could learn so much from watching him, the challenges he went through, how he faced them, that gave me, I would say, not just the knowledge, but the belief that, okay, if I would do that, how would I manage it? What would I do in that situation? But I'm on a constant journey of learning, and I definitely always like to push myself to keep getting better. And I think of myself as lucky in that there are so many people within Formula One who I think are people that have given Formula One Academy a lot of respect and time. It wasn't a given that they should all support it, but like when I went to see Guenther to ask for his support, people sat on the table. People wanted to hear, okay, what are you trying to do? And I obviously had to have a very concrete plan of what I was trying to do, but I said to each and every team principal, please don't look at me as a woman running a woman's thing. In my mind, this is for the greater good of the sport, but I need you all on board with me. And well, maybe not all of them, but nearly all of them supported, and that's what has made F1 Academy the success that it is in such a short space of time.
Speaking of outstanding people, how many times did you tell Reese Witherspoon at Hello Sunshine, look, when you get the cameras going, I need you to find a Guenther Steiner for this series?
There is only going to ever be one Guenther Steiner.
You know, I
he
understand,
is
but
not possible to copy.
Thanks God, you're all happy. Now, I want to go back when you said, when you went to speak with people about the program of F1 Academy, you know, it was brought to me via Stuart Morrison, a compatriot of yours, you know, which is the press officer, chief press officer at Haas. And I took it serious because you could see that it's serious. Because, you know, and you know how many crazy, stupid, mad ideas you get proposed. I mean, it's true. I mean, you guys have no idea what people bring to you is like, should I really look at this? I mean, when you see it's
you
not
should do a
work.
podcast with us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I signed, you know, as well. No,
sometimes you say yes to the crazy, stupid ideas. Yes.
Yeah, just to get rid of them, by the way.
Yeah.
So anyway,
That's right.
just to go back to that one, it was very thought through, very well presented, and I'm a big believer that for me everybody's the same, you know. So it is possible that we need to get there. That we, instead of having 5%, we have got 50%. I think 50% we are a long way away, but if you don't start, you will never get there, you know. So that's always my opinion. So that's one of the things. So that, just because time is running on here, and otherwise we talk about too much of the professional Susie. I mean, how did you meet Toto? You know, I know that it's about you, not about Toto, but in the end you're married to this dude, you know. So we need to know, how did you meet him?
Well, I love talking about Toto, so don't worry, Guenther, by any means. I'm super proud of him. I remember the very first...
He can be super proud of you. I mean, put it this way, you know, I would tell him that, you know, it's like, yeah.
No, I can remember the very first time I saw Toto. I was driving for Mercedes-Benz in German touring cars, and he walked in, and...
You fell in love. Come on.
Well, it was a moment where I thought, who's that?
I mean, hell. Hey, same.
And let's just say we were in the same environment for a couple of years, but we're so on the same wavelength that when we eventually got together, we'd kind of moved in with each other after around, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, and we were engaged within 6 months, and it was just something which was clear. It felt so right, and I think when you get it right, it just keeps getting better. And he's someone that I have a lot of fun with. He's a person I love to spend time with, and you know, people sometimes I think have this perception of us from the outside where if we take everything so seriously, and we don't. I mean, we're grateful for every day we have, and this is an incredible adventure we're on, but our feet are firmly on the ground. We approach everything with humility, and we know, like, you know, Guenther, okay, one day this journey is going to be over. We'll decide when it is or not, but in the end, life is a lot more about just what happens at the racing track.
I heard a story that he had crashed this car and was in the hospital, and there was like a task that people were like asked to call him, and that was kind of, is that true?
Well, you're well researched for this. So he had
Don't
tried
tell
to do...
me it's true, Susie. I was going to give shit to Brian. You know, it's
No.
like that he listens to all the gossip.
Completely
Guenther
true.
hates when I ask good questions.
No, I don't hate it.
No, he had been trying to break the Nürburgring lap record, and he had a really big crash. And we were testing, I think it was in Estoril in Portugal, the whole Mercedes German touring car team. And one of the managers came in and said, Toto Wolff has had a bad accident. And at that point, he was already invested in the company, and he was a driver manager. Someone should really call him to make sure he's okay. And on behalf of the drivers, Susie, why don't you do it? And handed me his mobile number. And I was like, yeah, give me the number, I'll do it. And it was only supposed to be a quick, well, we're all thinking of it, we hope we make a good recovery. But 1 hour later, we were still talking on the phone. And yeah, we definitely had a lot in common and clicked.
Twist my arm. Fine, I'll call him.
Did you say at some point, hey, what the hell are you doing trying to break the record at the most dangerous track in the world? Did you
I found it really cool.
or did you want an extension to your contract, Susie?
Yeah,
Susie.
I think, yeah.
No, let's not mix things up here, Guenther. He was not my boss, and he was not involved in my driver contract.
Yeah, I think
No.
hey, Toto, how are you? But my driver contract is up in a few months. How about that one as well, So, yeah. And then he said, I love you, Yeah, that is how it went. We can make the story up if we don't know it. That is the real story,
Guenther already has this story in his head.
Exactly.
I'll leave you to
That's
imagine how you want Guenther.
Exactly, yeah.
So wait, we just found out how you met Toto, but what do you remember from your first time meeting the one and only Guenther Steiner? What's your first memory of him?
Well, I didn't really know Guenther well. I remember when I watched Drive to Survive, initially I was like, wow, good looking Guenther.
Who is this idiot?
Wow. And then the funniest thing was when I joined F1 Academy and then got to start to know all the teams better, which I really appreciate now that I know different people that I just saw from a distance. I started to know them better. When I sat down with Guenther and Stuart and kind of explained it all, I remember Guenther saying to me, listen, this all looks great. I'm with you. I just tell you one thing. Don't come and ask me for money. Like, no. Don't worry, Guenther. We're not going to need any money. And then around 7 weeks later, I contacted him saying, for the Monaco Grand Prix, do you have time for a meeting, Guenther? He's like, yeah, of course I have time for a meeting. Come and see me. So we sat down and I said, Guenther, that you said you would give me anything but just not to ask for money. He's like, yeah. I said, I'm going to have to ask you for some money now. But he supported every step of the way.
It's not about money until it's about money. You know that. It's always the same.
In Formula One, Guenther, in some way, it's
not
always about money.
It's all about money. But in the end, we got along very well and we found the money for Susie because I wanted to support it.
And Guenther, and even when you'd left, I had to call Guenther because it was the Haas driver with Chloe Chambers on the podium. And it was such a big success for Haas, and the whole team was at the podium celebrating, and it was such a moment that
Susie,
wouldn't have happened without you.
You wonder why? Because we never had one.
Everyone was there.
Come on,
oh my God!
You said that, Guenther, not me.
The chef, the waitresses, everybody came there. It's a podium. We cannot believe it, And unfortunately, I couldn't go there anymore, Jesus, I missed out on that one.
But it was down to your vision, Guenther.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly, at least, Yeah. Now I use glasses for my vision, So.
Yeah.
Guenther has told us that Toto is actually, we asked who the funniest, who's one of the funniest people in the paddock, and he said Toto, which we were surprised.
They were very surprised,
We were very surprised by that because he doesn't read as,
being funny.
Mr. Bean, he reads as, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator more than, So Can you speak? Can you confirm that Toto's the funniest in the paddock? Do you agree with this statement?
I agree with it completely. He has a very Austrian humor. It's very direct. It can be shocking, but he's very funny. And I agree with you. That's something that a lot of people don't think unless they get to know Toto better. But no, he is funny.
What's the biggest thing that you feel like you mentioned earlier, like watching him run the team? What's the biggest thing you feel like you've learned from him in terms of the business? And also, given your motorsport, a longer history in motorsport, what's the biggest thing that you feel like you've taught him?
Well, I think one of his big strengths is he's got a lot of empathy. He cares a lot about people. And it was part of the reason that, Guenther will testify when you start winning, people normally leave teams because they get offers to join other teams. But he kept that team together for a long time because he genuinely cares. He has a lot of empathy to understand how people are feeling and what their position is, and that culture in the team, that he does that part of it very, very well, I have to say. I think what he probably would have learned from me is and since I was very young, I have an incredible work ethic. If I have to get something done, I'm focused on the task at hand. I don't look left, I don't look right. If I have to stay up till 4 a.m. to get the stuff done, I will. I'm very disciplined. And that's something I think he sometimes, even to this day now with F1 Academy, he's like, my God, how do you still have the power to keep going on certain topics? And when I came to him with the idea of, getting the 10 F1 teams on board, he said, Susie, that's just never going to happen.
Good luck with that one, he said. Good luck.
Yeah, you're just never going to manage. And I said, well, let me at least try. And then, of course, I got Ferrari on board. They were the first. And then I managed to meet with Christian, and Red Bull was on board. And then I went to Toto and I said, listen, I've got Ferrari and Red Bull. He said, well, then Mercedes is in. And then slowly but surely, one by one, it started to come together. And there was a lot of, that took months to get done. And to get all 10 to sign the same legal document was right up to the last minute it was announced, was touch and go. But I have that tenacity. If I set myself a task, I will just keep going till I get it done.
So Ferrari backed you before Mercedes? That's a scoop.
Yeah, Fred Vasseur was very... Yeah.
Fred more supportive than Toto. He was the best man. Is that
he
true?
He had to. I mean, because I'm sure he didn't bring a gift. Yeah, he didn't bring a gift for the wedding. Yeah, so he needed to give you a gift at least at this one. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. But I think you'll agree, Guenther. Fred is a very good guy, and he has such a deep knowledge of the sport. I bounced a lot of ideas off him. He obviously came through all the junior formulas, and he's a good guy.
Is it true that he was your best man?
He wasn't the best man, but he is a very close friend of Toto's. But I would say now in their respective positions, it's probably not as close as it was.
Okay.
And okay, so there was no bachelor party with Fred that you had to worry about?
Sorry, no.
No, he didn't give a speech?
No.
Oh, we just had this image of just like Fred leading a hangover style like crew with like Toto, Guenther, Fred.
Next generation of Wolffs. What does he do? How old is he?
He's
Junior.
7.
He's 7. I didn't know he was 8 or 8. So what is his plan? Is he in the footsteps of Kimi Antonelli?
I would say he's interested a lot in racing. Like he'll watch F2 with me, he'll watch F3.
Really?
He watches F1, he has his own karting simulator, but Toto and I are very dubious about pushing him too much in that direction. So it has to come from him first, and I think at 7, it's too early to tell.
Yeah, you started at 3, you said before, you know.
And Toto's like, I started 3 businesses already, so...
Yeah, exactly.
No pressure. No pressure in our household.
He's like, when did you do your first hostile takeover? Come on.
Exactly.
By 10.
What is the language situation and because it's so multicultural? How much haggis is there? How much schnitzel is there? What is the primary language being spoken?
What language are speaking at home?
I've got so many questions in that regard. I'm sure, Guenther, you have a multicultural house as well.
Yeah, for us, we speak German at home because Toto's very keen that Jack speaks German really well. So it's English and German, and he learns French at school. We're leading a very privileged life, and we're grateful for that. But I think it's also important to go out and make sure that he's aware that there's another world out there, and that he's not just, in this little bubble.
I call it the real world,
Yeah.
As you say, there is the real world out there, whatever that is, but there is a real world out of what we are doing, especially Monaco. I can really understand because both of you haven't come from there. So don't forget, don't forget where you come from, because it's pretty cool, and from where you came from and where you got to. It was a long way. It didn't happen overnight, So a lot of people think.
And sometimes we all get transfixed on this idea that if I get this, I'll be happy, or if I win this. But the truth is, it's the journey, and I wouldn't change the journey for anything from that little town on the west coast of Scotland to where I am now. It's been an incredible journey, and it's still ongoing. But I think it's also just enjoying the journey and not just being focused on the end result.
Vankah's not only does Cash App sponsor our favorite perfectly branded Formula One team, but they also make it easier for you to save money so you can do things that you love, like going to an F1 race. Boobies! Listen, to be honest, we thought that Cash App was just a way to send people money, right? You just send people money. Hey, Cash App me. Okay, I got you. But actually, it's a faster and simpler way to bank. You can start saving with as little as $1 with no hidden fees, no minimum balance requirements, and no account fees. Minimum balance requirements is crazy. It's just like, let me live. And Cash App lets you do that. And we all know that overdraft fees make no sense. Why are you charging someone if they don't have any money? Plus, when you deposit $300 or more in paychecks, you can get up to $50 in free overdraft coverage. It pays to get paid on Cash App, so go download the app today. Now back to the show. Well, we have a quiz here, because as we talk with Guenther, sometimes Guenther talks very favorably of Toto. And sometimes we're like, it seems like Guenther's got a little bit of a man crush on Toto. So we wanted to quiz you guys on some Toto facts and see which of you knows more, because,
I hope
you might be...
I hope also me.
You might be married to the man, but the way that Toto talks about him, the way that Guenther talks about him, sometimes I'm not sure. So, okay. How tall is Toto?
Guenther, do you want to try?
Yeah, Guenther, take a stab.
He's taller than me because he always tells me that, so he must be 8'4". 6'4", sorry, not 8'4", 6'4".
6'4".
Wow, 8'4". He looms
No,
large.
Yeah, that's how you
Basketball,
view him,
basketball,
Guenther.
yeah.
But I think that's a good guess because I only know he's 196 centimeters, which must be what, like 6'3", 6'4"?
No, it's
All
more
now
than
I got
that because I'm 188.
centimeters, 2 feet, 6'4" and change.
Guenther knew.
Okay, 1 for 1. How many languages does Toto speak? Guenther?
6.
You see, I can see that there's a lot of adulation there because you've given him one extra language.
What?
From
What we heard was that he speaks English, German, French, Italian, Spanish, and Polish. But what are no Spanish.
No Spanish.
No Spanish.
Get your weight up.
I thought he had culture. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
He's illiterate. If he doesn't speak 6... moron, yeah. Jesus
Spanish.
Christ.
One of the most popular languages. Okay. What's his favorite kind of bread, Guenther?
What's his say? It's...
Well, you'll only notice if you watch Drive to Survive.
I don't watch it, no. So I guess it's some dark rye bread or something like Austrians. I mean, eat that stuff, you know.
This is getting scary now. You're right. It's pumpernickel.
I
See,
didn't watch
Susie,
Drive to
we
Survive
told
yet.
you. We told you.
Yeah, I'm starting to get worried.
Yeah.
Okay,
You bet, dog.
what is Toto's astrological sign?
I have no idea.
Do you know when his birthday is?
No, I don't know. I hardly remember my one, by the way. I'm sure. I always have to write my wife's down because otherwise I forget that one. And I got my daughter's one wrong one time, and she was not impressed by that, you know. So, what could he be? I don't know. I'm not into to this stuff, so I just say he's a virgin.
No, he's January, so I think he's a... What's January? Aries?
No, Aries is April because it's me. So.
Oh no,
That's
yeah,
the only
Aries
thing
is
I
my
know.
son.
He's a Capricorn,
Capricorn.
which actually is the sign that of astrological signs of CEOs. Capricorn is
And a lot of bullshit goes with it, but anyway, you know. So.
All right, Guenther, you know you did pretty well there. So Susie, I think you should watch out, be on the lookout.
Not let him too close by, you know.
Especially when he goes off to do his German interviews on the race weekends.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to take
You
care.
learned German just so you could understand what those two are saying to each other.
Yeah, that there's no secret
right.
language.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, before we let you go, we have some pictures that we'd like you to look at and tell us what these
Oh
kind of
no,
pictures
are they going to be
bring
really
up
bad
for you.
pictures?
No.
No, there's no
Why
bad
would you do
pictures
that?
of you out there, Susie. So
Oh
you
yes,
gotta
there
worry
is.
about it.
Okay.
So that was at Snetterton when Lewis won the race. I was P3 and James Roster P2. And I couldn't open the champagne. So Lewis had to open the bottle for me. Shows you that he was slightly more used to opening champagne bottles than me at that point.
And that is how he got the job at Mercedes at the time.
Exactly.
Like, what does this bring up for you? What does this relationship mean to you with Lewis?
Oh, the relationship with Lewis, it means a lot because we often talk about the karting days, and obviously our families were close because it was a very tight-knit community when we karted. And what I appreciate so much about Lewis, and having seen him kind of over the years become the greatest of all time, I admire him so much because he's also been able to use his voice and his power to do so much positive in the sport and to have so much impact. And like you touched upon earlier, Guenther, the easiest thing is just to be the same as everybody else, but actually to forge your own path. And you know, he's done so much on the diversity side and really impactful work. And you know, he's brought so much culture into Formula One. I mean, walking into the paddock now is like a catwalk for a lot of drivers. And I think he's done so much for this sport, as much off track as on track, that he definitely deserves all of the adulation and the accolades that he has, because he's definitely, from that young age, I remember even at the age of 8 how how he was outstanding, and to watch what he's achieved. And quite often you have this perception of Lewis from a distance that he just rocks up, jumps in, and it's fast. But he works incredibly hard off track at every aspect of his life, and he's absolutely dedicated to being the best racing driver he can be. And I think it will, as much as I'm sad in a way that he's going to end his journey with Ferrari, I think it will be an iconic moment to see Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari race suit next season.
What does this bring up for you?
It brings up a lot of joy being out in a Williams Formula One car at the British Grand Prix. It was a dream come true, it really was, but it also reminds me how much pressure there was. And it's again highlighted to me with Kimi in Monza when he took to the track in the FP1. You've so little to gain from doing an FP1. It's your one chance to show what you can do. You know you shouldn't be crashing the car because there's a lot of downside, but at the same time you know it's your one moment to show what you're capable of. And there was so much riding on those sessions that the pressure was immense. But I remember as soon as I put the helmet on and got out on track, it all melted away, and I loved being out on track driving that car. It was through Maggots Beckett's driving an F1 car. It's something I'm so grateful that I got to do.
We have your celebration, your Formula E here. What is
also? I mean, you're so kind to me. You're picking all the highlights here.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, no, I joined Venturi. It was a team racing around at the back, and within 3.5 seasons, we were fighting for a world championship, and we only lost the world championship to Mercedes-Benz, to the factory team. We were vice world champions. To my husband. To your
husband, yeah. Did you thank him that evening? Yeah. Thanks, Toto. Thanks, Toto. Yeah. Thanks, Toto.
But that was a group that just shows when you get the right group together and get the right energy. We had an incredible season.
Amazing. It's a picture of you with Niki Lauda here.
Well, that brings a lot of fond memories. Niki was such a close friend of Toto's at the end, and we spent so much time together. And Guenther, I think you can testify just how funny Niki was. He was so direct in his thoughts, and we had a lot of fun with Niki, and we still miss him a lot. Especially, I think Toto in those moments where it can be a lot. Having Niki around was always a highlight.
So he was always a highlight. Whatever happened, as bad the situation was, there was always something. You can say it now, stupid said by Niki, which made it. Yeah, you're actually right. It's not the end of the world, you know. But yeah. So
we have this kind of iconic. This is a screenshot from a video of you and Toto both doing hot laps, and I mean, how much did you enjoy throwing him around track? How enjoyable was this for you?
Well, you know, I used to always be so upset because Toto is a terrible passenger. But I didn't know whether he was just a bad passenger because I was driving, because he always was trying to tell me, you're going too fast, you're going too slow, we've seen it. And he would always be very uneasy in a car with me. But everything changed when he was at Hockenheim for a filming day with Mercedes-Benz, and he had to go out in the car with Lewis. And then he came in after 2 laps and he said to me, it wasn't actually that great out there with Lewis. And I thought, if you think that a 7-time world champion is not driving very well, then I've got no chance that you ever think I'm driving well. So I do think he's just simply a very bad passenger, no matter who's driving.
So who is the faster driver, Susie? Who is the faster driver, you or him?
Guenther, I can't even believe people ask me this. I mean, I made a career as a racing driver.
Yeah.
Of course I'm the faster driver.
Okay, yeah. Every race car driver will tell you, I'm the fastest.
Exactly.
I just didn't have the opportunity, you know. Yeah, if I would have been the right car, but the engineer wasn't shit, then I would be world champion. Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah. You've heard it all before, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
I think, yeah.
I think, no. This is the last. We had to ask about this. This picture of you and Toto wearing shirts,
indulging
with
yourself,
faces on them.
Each other.
Yeah. You can see what great style we have in that picture. We figured that
you don't need to comment, Susie, if you don't want to, because
no, I need to comment so that you can all understand that we haven't completely lost the plot. Those shirts were gifted to us, and we said, let's take one picture because otherwise they are never going to see the light of day ever. So we took that one funny picture.
So that you never worn since then?
No, that's not my daily attire, no.
They wear it out in Monte Carlo in their privileged lifestyle, in their huge mansion, They always wear it. That's the only wardrobe they have, That will make a headline. This is how the Wolves roll.
That's right. Right.
Vankahs, we interrupt this perfect episode with the Susie Wolff to tell you that we are doing a live show in Austin Sunday, October 20th at the Vulcan Gas Company. Be there or be square, baby. Don't fly home on Sunday night. Fly home Monday. Come to the show on Sunday. The link is in the description. It's going to be great. We've done it there last year. It's an amazing venue. Come celebrate the Austin GP with your favorite two Vankahs. Go buy your tickets right now. Well, we have a couple of fan questions before you leave. We were hoping to ask you. This is from afifa.png. Where do you see F1 Academy in 10 years?
That's a really good question, because a lot of people have said, well, hopefully one day F1 Academy will be obsolete because you'll have so many women competing that you don't need it to exist anymore. I think the reality is that it's definitely a long-term play, and the fact that there's such a high financial barrier to racing, I think there will always be a place for F1 Academy to exist, and I think we've got an incredible amount of work to do to increase the talent pool, to get more young women into the sport, off track and on track. But I think how I hope Formula One Academy will develop, it will become established. It will become a real goal for so many young women who maybe didn't realise there were opportunities in the sport, but it could. And I see it already now in the world of karting. They're calling it the F1 Academy effect, where these young girls are appearing because suddenly they realise, okay, that's my goal. That's where I want to be racing in 10 years.
This is from Charlotte.Mads. What's been your favorite moment of the 2024 F1 Academy season so far?
Oh, that's a great question. For me, going back to that point of not actually worrying of who wins and who loses, there's been quite some highlights, but I think standing on that grid in Jeddah, seeing all 15 cars, 10 of them each with the Formula One liveries, and then our 5 partner cars, it had been a vision that I'd worked so hard to make a reality, and standing there and seeing the drivers in their race suits, the cars with all of their liveries, it was a moment of real pride, not just for me, but for all of the team I have with me, because we had worked so hard to make that a reality, and it was finally real, and it was a great moment.
This is from Patty Lebley. Aside from drivers, are there other roles or departments that severely lack female representation that are less known to the public?
Well, absolutely yes, and we're obviously trying to shine a spotlight on those, but like Guenther can testify, there's so many roles now within a Formula One team, whether that's on the engineering side, or the manufacturing side, or the marketing, the hospitality. There's huge organisations now that run all the teams, and there's so many different opportunities. I certainly spend a lot of time in LinkedIn, looking at all the different opportunities and understanding what we can do in each area to create opportunity. And it's not going to be something that overnight we can change, but step by step, if we approach it in a structured way of just trying to open up what opportunities exist, what talented women there are out there already working in the sport that it can inspire others, there's definitely so much opportunity. And when you go to a Formula One race, there's only 20 drivers on the grid, but there's thousands of people involved in making that one event happen and making those cars capable of racing. So lots of opportunity in the sport overall.
I would agree with that one, and I was a little bit getting worried when you said you're spending a lot of time in LinkedIn. I was thinking you're looking for a job, There's no need. So, no,
not yet.
True. Not yet. It could come. You never know, When this
you never know.
Life is coming in to haunt you, So I have got to say something to Susie. First of all, I want to thank Susie for coming along as our first guest,
That's right.
Which is fantastic. Not everything was perfect, Susie. We are like the F1 Academy. We are getting better by the show. We are getting better.
Don't insult the F1 Academy like that.
No, I have to be completely honest. At the beginning, I was a bit worried, but now I can tell you, I think you guys are going to be great.
Okay.
Don't tell them, because then their head blows up, So we are not great. But then the other thing we have to do now, because we spoke so much about your husband in this show, we now have to invite him and ask him about you, because we spoke half the time about him and not of you, So I was getting that's a little bit too much Toto heavy, and then they think I've got a crush on him, So
Guenther, if there's
but they were going. They were.
Well, now you want to have him on the podcast.
exactly. Yeah, I was going to say,
Get it right.
just blink your eyelashes and ask him, Guenther, and I'm sure he's going to say yes.
He will blink back and say yes.
I have to prove that I don't have a crush on him, so I guess we have to hang out? What is that logic, Guenther?
So did you read the foreword he wrote for my second book?
Did he write something for you?
Yeah, for my second book he wrote the foreword. Sorry, I cannot even speak anymore.
Guenther reads it every night before bed.
I am really starting to get worried now.
I can see that,
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Susie. Really appreciate it.
Goodbye, Vankah.
Goodbye, Vankah. Thank you.